Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alopecia Angel podcast, Awaken to Hair Growth. I'm your host, Johanna Dahlman. Today marks the first week of the new year. So welcome back to 2025 and welcome to this new year. In terms of New Year's, I always love to have goals and set intentions for this year. I know many times when it comes to hair loss, we're still in the midst of trying to figure out what our next step is. And what I'd say to this, and it goes together with today's podcast, is that we're going to talk about hormones and thyroid. Hormones and thyroid play a big part in many people's type of hair loss, whether that's androgenic, whether you have PCOS, whether you have a thyroid concern like Hashimoto's or other, and whether you also have postpartum hair loss. These are all triggered by hormonal issues. And then also in regards to thyroid also plays a big part in terms of our overall health. And who does this really concern? When it comes to hormonal hair loss, this can concern anyone at any age, really. In regards to thyroid, the same goes for thyroid. However, in my practice, I see actually more people with thyroid concerns, either once they've already had their children or after a certain age. But that's not to say that that can't happen earlier. Thyroid and autoimmune diseases in general are on the rise, especially in children. So at any point in time, someone can have a thyroid issue. At any point in time, you can have a hormonal imbalance. And there are ways to balance these two things out so that you can see your hair grow, so that you can see optimal health, so that you can see improvements overall in your health. Do you need medications for thyroid? Usually that's the go-to in conventional medicine. However, let me just go ahead and say that for my clients with thyroid concerns who are on medications, I've seen numerous clients either come off their medications completely because they reversed their thyroid issues or they've lowered it significantly. So one of two things can happen, right? You can lower that thyroid medication that you're on, or you can reverse it completely and have it go back to a fully functioning normal thyroid. Even those clients that I've had who've had, let's say, a thyroid cancer before alopecia, they come to me after it's been ablated or after they've had a significant surgery done to their thyroid and they're on medication for life. Even they get to see that hair growth, even they get to see the opportunity to see the health and the hair growth come back, regardless of whether that thyroid is ablated or not. In regards to hormonal imbalances, we're looking at the postpartum, we're looking at the pregnancies, we're also looking at menopause, we're also looking at androgenic alopecia, which is female pattern baldness, and we're also looking at PCOS. And I've seen this time and time again in my clients inside the Hair and Heal program. Now, right now, I'm offering a free training for hormones and thyroid, where I actually go on a deep dive in regards to these situations, these causes, what to do, and how to help. Today, I wanted to go ahead and just overview and cast a shadow in terms of what is possible, because many times we are diagnosed, let's say, with alopecia or with a thyroid condition, and we think this is our end all be all. We think we need to be on medication for life. And even I've had a close family relative have a startling health condition come up, and he was told that he needed to be on 2 medications for life. As someone who was very adverse at anything diet and lifestyle, he more than likely has taken this as a hard adjustment potentially to his new diet and lifestyle. What I would say to that is that many times when we focus on the healing properties and supporting our bodies, many times we can get off of medications. And that is the key here. Startling news and startling statistics show that on average, the regular US American, by the time they're age 40, are already on 2 prescription pills. By the time they're 60, they're on 4 prescription pills. And that's on average. And the thing is, it's like prescriptions in general just cover up the situation. They don't necessarily fix any situation, if that makes sense, right? Whether you have blood clots, whether your arteries are clogged, whether you have diabetes or anything else, medication just put you on cruise control. They don't fix you and they don't necessarily help you. The top 5 killers of Americans, right? Because the data shows for Americans and surveyed for Americans is that when it comes to heart disease, when it comes to the cancers, when it comes to cholesterol, when it comes to so many of these diseases that kill Americans, they can all be reversed with diet and lifestyle. And so this is your key to think and know that whether you have PCOS or not, that whether you have female pattern or not, that whether you have a thyroid issue, whether or not you have postpartum hair loss that just hasn't stopped, even though it's been 5 years, it can all stop. The hair loss can stop and regrow. The PCOS can heal itself and reverse. The diabetes can heal itself and reverse. The thyroid condition can heal itself and reverse. Now, it's not going to happen on its own. It's going to happen with the proper support and the proper strategy for each person. And that's going to look different. Even if we all had a thyroid situation, even if we all had female pattern baldness, even if we all had the same thing. This is why the one size fits all situations don't work like minoxidil. They just don't, because again, we're not tackling the whole person. We're not looking at all the facets of the beauty, which make you up, which make me up, which make everyone else up individually. So I wanted to showcase that because Hashimoto's especially is on the rise when it comes to women, when it comes to being the number 1 diagnosed autoimmune disease. It is Hashimoto's. And so Hashimoto's likes to buddy up with alopecia. It likes to buddy up with rheumatoid arthritis. It likes to buddy up. And so this is what we want to avoid. We want to avoid the second and the third autoimmune diseases. We want to avoid complications. We want to avoid any risks. We want to support ourselves. We want to heal. We want to get that hair growth. This was just a quick overview in regards to hormones and thyroid, but I also wanted to showcase, and the link in the show notes will have the link for you to enter into the free webinar that I'm showcasing for the hormone and thyroid conditions that you may be experiencing in regards to your hair loss. And many of you already know, you're like, hey, this is me. I have hair loss and it's female pattern baldness. I have PCOS. I have thyroid. I have this. I have that. You already know it, then this free training is for you. So I would highly encourage you that you take advantage of this and sign up today so you can reap those benefits of that education. The other thing that I would want to mention is that many times things can be prevented, and they can be prevented by way of taking care of ourselves, by way of testing, by way of looking at data, by way of gauging how we're doing, not just day to day, not just year to year, but even over a 5-year period or a 10-year period. I told the spouse to this close relative of mine that had this person gone in to get checkups on a regular basis, had this person gone in to look at other possibilities of getting checkups, of seeing a doctor on even a somewhat regular basis, that this would come up a lot sooner, his condition. I say this because maybe for Americans, this is actually quite common to get checkups. But even then, even if it is common to get checkups in the country or city or state that you're living in, that doesn't mean that the person themselves are doing it. And so those are two different things. The other situation is that having lived in the Netherlands, having lived in Japan, getting a simple pap smear on a yearly basis was not possible. And this is more of a preventative standpoint that I have versus a reactive standpoint. I believe that we should be continuously looking at our health in a very strategic, proactive way versus a reactive way. So in the Netherlands, for example, they're not going to test you further, even if you request it. They're only going to test you when and if they think that you need it. And this is the problem with a lot of the healthcare around the world. I know this because my clients in other countries have mentioned this. And then also I lived it myself. And so regardless of the situation, whether you're pregnant and you're in your 40s, like I was abroad, or whether you have alopecia, like I was abroad, you're still not going to get the extra testing or the extra care or the extra mile of attention that you may need, want, or warrant. And so this is also a situation. And so I wanted to go ahead and mention that whether or not you're my client, whether or not you join the Hair and Heal program, I can offer you testing worldwide. I want to make this available because I know how desperate I was personally when testing was not available. And so contact us and we can help, and we can have you put in contact with one of our staff members who does testing worldwide. So that's a great advantage. The other thing I wanted to go ahead and mention was taking a look and an inventory of what we tell ourselves, of why and how we can't move the needle into our health, of why and how we can't move the needle into our hair growth. And there's many things we tell ourselves on a regular basis. And I'm not talking necessarily about negative talk, but this is more of like the excuses. For example, I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have this time or space for me. I don't have this. I don't have that. This becomes a situation of what I'm missing instead of reframing the situation to help us. So for example, the excuse that many people in general say why they can't work out, why they can't exercise, is because either they have an injury or they don't have time. But if you think about it and you take inventory of what you do on a daily basis and what possible time that you can squeeze in, even if it's just a walk around the block, even if it's just a 10-minute bike ride, even if it's just simple steps in order to move the needle, baby steps are okay. And they're necessary. I understand that, for example, in my time of life before, when I was single, I had so much time on my hands to work out. I was working out 3+ hours a day and enjoyed it and loved it and thrived in it. Today, that's not the same situation. Obviously, once you're married, you have kids and so on and so forth, your time becomes more precious, and especially time for ourselves. But the thing is, no one is going to give us back any time, and no one's going to take the time for us unless we put on those boundaries. And so for something such as that excuse of, I don't have time to focus on my hair loss, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, that's just excuses that we're allowing ourselves to believe, because in reality, we all have the same 24 hours. And there's lots of ways that you can manage your time or manage your finances or manage your wants, desires, or so many things and options that you can do to obtain what you want, which at the end of the day, it's hair growth, it's results, it's super optimized health, and it's being thriving and being happy with your life, with where you're living, with where you're going, with what you're doing, and how you want to live. As I look back in my own journey too, I see that I was seeing some whispers of situations in my 20s, which eventually blew up in my face by the time I was in my 30s. And so sometimes life is showing us right here, right now, what needs our attention. But the universe tells us in like maybe small messages and small whispers until it gets louder. Or like me, I just got the diagnosis out of quote unquote nowhere. And that's just it. We can avoid the diagnosis. We can avoid the hair loss. We can avoid everything if we have a proactive approach, if we are doing what's right and what's needed to be right by us, for us, in our own tailored, personalized way. So I would encourage you that this year, 2025, that you take a stand for yourself. You eliminate all the excuses. You eliminate all these things that you're telling yourself that you don't have enough this or that, because you do. You have it all. You just need to put forth the action, maybe potentially look for another strategic way and make it happen. Make it happen, because you can. The thing is, also, when I start to look at health conditions in general, we have so much control over our own health and over our own lives and outcomes. So for example, when it comes to hair loss, you have 100% control, 100% control. Don't let anyone tell you different. You have 100% control on your hair. This is why me, in my mid-40s, I'm able to grow an inch every month on a consistent basis. This is why I've taken 4 years to heal, because I was doing things all wrong and upside down. And this is why I also share my knowledge, wisdom, and empowerment with my clients, because this way they're seeing the hair growth in 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. They don't need to wait. By the way, shout out to Grace, who emailed me. She says she's already seen lots of hair growth. Other clients this week have also emailed me saying they have full hair growth, and I'm so ecstatic for them, because this is the way you would want to start your new year, isn't it? With full hair growth, with lots of hair growth coming in all over. Wouldn't you? I know you would, because I would have done anything during those 4 dark years trying to get my own hair growth back. And it's never too late. Whether you've been on this journey for years, decades, or more, or less, you can still get your hair and your health back. It's never too late. But what I wanted to go back to is that we need to drop the excuses. We need to drop the, I don't have time. I don't have this. I don't have that. My neighbors are so sweet that we don't have family where we live. We've got zero family. We are slowly but surely making friends. And lo and behold, we don't have a sitter or anyone to take care of our son. And they've offered to babysit. And sometimes we just need to ask, babysit, and it would be a trusted person, right? And little by little, it's like you can garner these relationships. You can garner the help that you need if we ask, if we raise our hand, if we do something about it. But we need to move the needle, even if it's baby steps, in the right way, and just obtain that forward momentum. So going back to the control you have in your hair loss, you have 100% of your control, not a fertility situation where it takes two, husband and wife, right? Or male and female, sperm and egg, completely different. That takes two, and you need to be on the same page. And many times they're not. I'm seeing this a lot with friends who are going through fertility situations, and it's not so easy for them. And so that's just it. When it comes to hair loss, your own hair loss, you've got 100% control. There's no one holding you back but you. When it comes to your high cholesterol, your diabetes, your heart disease, that's all on you too. You can reverse that. When it comes to your thyroid, your hormones, you've got the control. That's all on you. The excuses of, oh, but my husband doesn't want to support me. My children don't want to support me. My mother doesn't want to support me. You support yourself, and I will support you too. And so this is the thing. We always try to find an excuse to not do what we want most. And if there's anything ironic about that, all of it is ironic when it comes to wanting your hair, wanting to live your best life, and then not going for it. I encourage you to go for it this year. I encourage you to take those baby steps. Even if you can't do all of it, take those baby steps little by little. I encourage you to set aside the excuses, set aside the, I don't have time, the I don't have this, I don't have that, because we all have that, and we can all find a way to get that. And more so on that, later on in the year, I'm going to open up the scholarship so that you can submit your submissions for the scholarship. And this is another way that I like to give back and help people. So this would be an opportunity for you to submit. You need to subscribe in order to learn more about the scholarship, and then also to gain access to the link. So you can go ahead and subscribe on my website at alopecia-angel.com. If you go to the top where it says hair and heal, and at the bottom, you'll get more information on that. I wanted to go ahead and leave you with some staggering statistics in regards to hormones and thyroid. So for example, for those of you with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, this affects anywhere from 6 to 12% of women of reproductive age. This issue and health condition can impede fertility, can impede many health benefits, but you can help it, you can support it, and you can reverse it. When it comes to menopause, this impacts all women. Once you get to the menopausal age, which normally tends to affect 50 years of age and over, but it can happen sooner. I had actually a relative of mine who went into menopause naturally at the age of 35. So it can happen. It impacts all women, typically between the ages of 45 and 55, with hormonal changes causing symptoms like hair thinning. We can balance this out. We can balance hormones in less time. It's not going to take 6 months. It's not going to take 2 years. I've seen statistics, which are lies and myths all over the internet, about how postpartum will take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. That's a lie. I actually never went through postpartum hair loss myself because I balanced them out from the get-go. Once those 3 months hit, I was already tweaking things to ensure that by month 3, I would be balanced out and ready to go. When it comes to thyroid disorders, this affects around 12% of the population, with women being 5 to 8 times more likely than men to develop a thyroid condition, particularly hypothyroidism. Overall, a significant portion of the population, especially women, experience some form of hormonal changes during their lifetime. And as women, we have cycles, and this also tends to bring another added value to hormonal changes, with many of them experiencing hair-related symptoms. Inside the hormone and thyroid training, I also have so much more freebies and cheat sheets to give you. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this, and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.